Greetings, everyone. My name is Tim Selden. I'm the president of the Montessori Foundation, and this is our weekly webcast for Montessori school leaders, focusing on school recruitment, admissions, and building of community. We sponsor this in partnership with my friends at the AIMS group, which is Automated Independent Marketing for Schools. My friend Clint Lausch. Clint, let me turn over to you.
Hey, thanks, Tim. Um, yeah, I've run Ames, which again is a good way to think about it is like HubSpot for schools, and also doing some marketing services as well for schools that need it. And yeah, happy to be back here with another week with the webcast. And I'm excited to talk about our topic today, which really gets at the heart of the whole topic of our webcast is how to find the perfect match. And when you think about how to do that, especially through your marketing, it all comes down to your messaging. And when it comes down to your messaging, it comes down to your why. And that's really the big differentiator. And I'll just tell a quick story for I've been doing agency type work, marketing services work for schools for a while. And many times when schools come to me, they'll say, we need to advertise. And usually people come in thinking, well, we need to run ads, right? But every time we start a campaign, it always has to start with the messaging and the why. That's what's going to inform your ads, your websites, your website content, your email, your social media. It is the foundation for really all of your marketing. Without that why, the rest of the foundation is pretty weak and not consistent. So I'm excited to talk about how to develop that why if you haven't really taken a deep dive into it. And I know we have a few folks on. So if anybody's done any sort of work about developing your why, your portrait of a graduate statements, or let me ask this: has anybody built avatars around your why, so your avatars for your ideal fit families? Has anybody done that?
I'm not sure that people understand the concept of avatar. I mean,
Mm,
in the Montessori Leadership Institute, we talk about the idea of a portrait of a graduate and a portrait of our ideal parent and our portrait of the family that we want to avoid taking into the school because they're going to make us crazy, right, Kitty? Um, so we do that, but we don't talk about the word avatar. And you also mentioned the word HubSpot. And for those people that are online who don't know HubSpot, can you just first off start with what is HubSpot and why would anyone use something like HubSpot or Ames? And then let's talk about what is an avatar, just make sure everyone knows.
Yeah, so HubSpot, Ames, I mean, it's all-in-one marketing software. HubSpot's really known as all-in-one marketing and sales software. It's a great platform. I've used it for a while. Tends to be overkill for schools, a little expensive. We built something similar, but for specifically for schools to handle both the marketing and admissions. And what's important about it is really tying together, making marketing a little bit easier, making it using some automations, making your messaging more segmented, more personal. So it really goes hand in hand with what we're talking about today. Whereas you're thinking about how do I build relationships with my families? How do I do that through my messaging? If you set up your segmentation and your automations in a way where as families are coming in and they're telling you, here's what I'm looking for, or they're filling out forms, you can develop some really great custom messaging that's going to be magnetic to those families. And you can kind of build it one time and then run it out there to the world so you save time and you're more effective in your messaging.
And then the avatar concept, can you just briefly explain that?
Yeah, so avatar, if you Google how do I create an avatar, there's probably a million sites out there that have avatar templates. And let me see if I can pull so when you think about an avatar, sometimes you think about, well, I'm going to give my avatar a name, and then you're going to give attributes to that avatar. What are they looking for in a school? What is their income level? Where do they live? How many kids do they have? What are the values? What are the things that they're prioritizing? What are their challenges or hurdles they're looking to overcome? So you're building a persona of a family that you feel is an ideal fit for your school. And many schools will have two, three, four types of personas. And let me give you an example of a school that I did a lot of work with. They were a classical Christian school, and there were really two core avatars that they were marketing to. Avatar number one was the family who knew that they wanted a classical Christian education. So their messaging was all around why us versus competitors, right? What's unique about our classical Christian model versus others, right? The other avatar, the other persona of family was they're looking at a lot of different approaches, right? It wasn't just classical Christian, it was your traditional private school, or maybe not classical Christian, but there's another Christian school. So then the messaging for them is why classical Christian versus other educational approaches. So two totally different messaging frameworks, two different avatars, and accordingly, you want to speak to each one of them a little bit differently so that it resonates and is more magnetic for those families. So we're going to get into today as well about how to build those avatars, because let me say one thing about building avatars. If anybody has ever done the exercise, let me tell you what ends up happening in a realistic world. You build an avatar, you spend a lot of time, you put all this work into it, and then it's going to sit on your computer and nobody's going to look at it again. At least that's my experience from doing this a lot, is that it's not really actionable. I really like building actionable personas, which is goes in line with what we've been talking about in some previous sessions, which is when you think about your ideal families and the messaging to them and your why, you first want to start thinking about what are they looking for, what's in their mind, what questions do they have, and then building your messaging around that, right? So it's very actionable that if they're looking for, why classical Christian versus others, then you build content directly around answering the question. So I look at personas more around how do I answer the questions going on in their head based upon what they're looking for. Hope that's helpful and not more confusing.
Absolutely. So one of the things for those of you that are listening to this webcast live or the recording is what Clint and I are doing, as far as I know, is really not being done anywhere else in the world of non-public education in the United States. And we do have a global reach. And I realize so far everyone that's been attending in real time is in the United States or Canada. The bottom line is this is knowledge that if you're involved with recruitment and admissions and building of community and slowing down attrition for a private school, whether it's Christian, Montessori, conventional, whatever it is, this is the place for you. And this is knowledge that we've gleaned, in my case, since my mother started the Berry School in 1932. This is a lot of knowledge that has real value. And we encourage you to not only attend live, because we really want you, if you're able, to unmute yourself, to talk, to have a conversation and not just listen. Otherwise, we'd just be using GoToWebinar. So what we're trying to do is work with colleagues like you people that are here in real time to help you understand things that you might not know. And frankly, unless you go get an MBA in marketing, or you work with, like I did for many, many years as a client of independent school management in Wilmington, Delaware, which is brilliant, or some of the big agencies like Nito Marketing or some of the others, this is a free course in how to make more effective use of your time. That's what we're doing. And you can go to YouTube, you can see all the webcasts we've done so far. There's a playlist for Find the Perfect Match. There's a course that the Montessori Foundation offers called Finding the Perfect Match, Recruit and Retain Your Ideal Enrollment. And what I appreciate about you, Clint, is that you have knowledge that goes beyond anything that I, as a head of school, ever developed in 50 some years. And your specialized knowledge being broken down for free in such simple terms is incredibly valuable to those of us who are trying to learn how to do this better. What we all know is we have a limited number of months to recruit our enrollment for the next year. What we know is everything that happens in our schools will happen starting about 6 months before the school year begins, if not 8 months before the school year begins. And we have to make the most of limited time, limited dollars to make the phone ring, get people on the campus, to see if they're the right fit, because none of us need someone who's going to hate our guts and tell everyone that they know that we are just a terrible school. We all want people that will love us for who we are and will go out and be our best spokesman, because word of mouth is a very powerful marketing tool. So again, at any time during this or any other week, we encourage you to be here live, to open up your mic, or if you're like Kitty, who has a broken mic, feel free to put it into chat, and it's okay. We'll be happy to talk with you that way, back and forth. But this is intended to be us, for me as an old timer, and for Clint as someone who's young and hungry and is offering, in my opinion, as somebody who works with Clint's service, he's got a great service. I know other people that do it more, better, and different. But what I appreciate about you, Clint, is you're smart, you're young, you're hungry, and you're affordable. And you're really trying to support your clients in a way that the big agencies, frankly, do, but they do it at 10 times the cost. So anyway, back to you, Clint. What
I
do you
appreciate it.
share with us now?
I appreciate that. Well, one of the things that I was going to share today, in terms of developing your why, because I think we all kind of maybe get that to a point, right? It's like what makes us different, what makes us unique, but how do we build it? How do we create it? How do we build those avatars? If you do this, if you sit down and do this, it can take a pretty long time. I remember doing this with a whole team before the world of AI, but now with AI, it can make our lives a little bit easier. Um, and what I was going to show you all was a handy little trick of how we can build our why and our messaging using something like ChatGPT, but based upon our parent survey data. Does everybody have parent survey data that they have from families that have said, why they enroll? What you have that? Have you ever applied ChatGPT to it to analyze it? Did you know that you could? Let me show you. This is pretty cool. Just
And
for
he's
so
right.
you said just for
Told me
reporting
about this
purposes,
and
not
I did
messaging.
it, and it's really pretty impressive. Are you going to share your screen?
Yeah, bear with me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen with you. Yeah, okay, cool.
By the way, for those of you who are still new to AI, I needed to dash off an email. I use a number of AI tools. One of them is Claude, which I have a free
Yeah.
account, and I used my voice on my cell phone. I opened up Claude. I said, Claude, write me an email reminding parents to come to this workshop tonight, and this is what it's all about, and this is why free childcare, refreshments, and all this. Make it friendly in tone and informative, but make it easy to read. And within 30 seconds, I had it. It was perfect. Needed almost no change, and it was done. What do we got here?
And just Tim, out of curiosity, how do you like Claude? And have you tried that compared to ChatGPT?
Claude, in my opinion, is better for developing a persona. And I'm sure, I know you did a special workshop on how to build a ChatGPT identity, or I think you called it an avatar for your school.
Yeah.
But with Claude, at least, without any work, and without having to pay a subscription like I do for ChatGPT, I can usually get a better letter, article, or email written very quickly. So it seems like it's tuned for that, whereas ChatGPT does all kinds of stuff, from developing logos and analyzing articles, all kinds of things we do with ChatGPT, like what you're about to do here.
Yeah, so here's what I did. So now I just made up some survey data. I actually told ChatGPT, create a parent survey, give me 100 fake survey entries, but make it realistic. Have the questions you would normally have in there, right? So it gave me a CSV, and it looks like this. Why did you choose the school? Was the number one thing you were looking for? What's your primary? I don't know what that says. What concerns did you have? Right. So you're all going to have different questions, but I just wanted to use this for illustration purposes. So if you have your parent survey data, it could take a while to really go through and analyze it and see what trends there are. So what we can do is you can actually upload this. So what I did was, for time purposes, I already did this, and say, look, I want to create marketing message for a private school based on the attached family data. Can you tell me the top 3 reasons why families chose our school? Now, you're obviously going to do this for your school. So further down the line here, you want to give it information about your school. And for anybody that was on one of our previous webcasts where I talked about how to build a custom GPT, I would highly recommend um, building a custom GPT for your school where it remembers everything about your school, and then all of your messaging is always on brand. But let's keep moving forward. So the service, so we can just load the CSV in, tell it to analyze the data, and you can ask it whatever you want. So I just said, give me the top 3 reasons family chose our school. A focus on gifted students, highly recommended by a friend, personalized learning. Okay. Now, can you build 3 avatars of families based upon this survey data? So now it actually built the avatars for me. So the Smiths, why did they choose the school? Okay, so this avatar number 1 is for, in their case, they have a gifted child, and they're looking for a school that can support them. Um, and you can see, what's their primary goal? What were their concerns? What grade are they looking at? What are their extracurricular interests? Excuse me. Um, and it actually creates a backstory for them. The second was the family that gets referred to you. I don't think that's a great avatar. I think we come up with something better than that, but let's just roll with it. So this is the family that gets referred to you. I would rather something more along the lines of, what are they looking for in a school rather than how they found you. Um, and then the personalized learner family. So these are 3 avatars because this family was looking at personalized learning experience. So okay, so it gives us this information. We can look a little bit deeper into it, but then I really want to start digging into the messaging. This is something that I really like to use as a prompt. If you're all able, let me see if I can zoom in here. I say, for these avatars, can you list the fears, frustrations, goals, and aspirations that these families have? So this is a really great prompt for getting ChatGPT to start telling you, this, you're getting closer to the messaging now. So here are their fears. They're not going to be challenged academically enough, right? So if you know that you're attracting families that have gifted students, and their objection might be, is my child actually going to be challenged here versus another school? Then accordingly, this is exactly something that you want to start creating your messaging around. What do you have to offer? Why us to address these fears, right? It won't adequately address the unique gifts. Um, what are some frustrations that they have? What are their goals in a school, right? They want to be around other students. Okay, so maybe you could say, look, they're going to be in classrooms with 7 other students that are on a similar path as they are, right? So once you start knowing this starts building your messaging. We'll skip ahead. Let's see, with a word of mouth family. Um, I don't really like that one. I'd probably ask it to redo that one. Let's go to the personalized learner family. They're trying to like get lost in large class sizes. So small class sizes is like the common thing that every school says. So I actually don't think small class sizes is a differentiator per se, but you want to talk about what can you do, be more emotional or visceral in your descriptions about what small class sizes might mean. And maybe these are for families that are coming from a public school. Maybe that's bigger. So talk about the impact rather than just the fact that it's a 8-to-1 student to teacher ratio. Um, they want to grow into confident learners. Let's see if there's anything else noteworthy here. Love of learning beyond the classroom. So it gives us the avatar. Now let's start wrapping this up and starts. Now we could say, can you now build core marketing messaging to highlight our why so that it's magnetic to these avatars? Now, what I would do here is say, here's who we are as a school. Here's our portrait of a graduate. Um, and I apologize if you hear a piano in the background. I have a 3-year-old on a piano right now. Um, so now we can tell ChatGPT to build out our messaging. So now let's say your child deserves more than education, they deserve to thrive. We specialize in unlocking each student's unique potential through personalized learning, focus on academic excellence, right? So um, this is how you can start building that messaging. And then we can even fine tune it, build social media content that's focused on the gifted achiever avatar. Write an email talking about the impact of our small class sizes or those that are looking for community. Does this make sense? Is this helpful about how to do this?
I think what people would probably ask themselves is, okay, we're identifying avatars, types of parents that might approach us. They would probably be asking themselves, okay, what do I do? Do I throw out different campaigns on different days to see which one captures a certain kind of parent? Or do I change my website so that in some way, shape, or form it addresses all of these different kinds of issues as well? In other words, how do they use it?
Yeah, and I think you can use it in a lot of different ways. So like this becomes your foundation, right? So then if you think about where do I use this? Emails, social media, advertisements, website content, even in just your everyday conversations, right? I think this is actually really great to, excuse me, have like a learning day with like the teachers and other faculty, where you're sharing like, here's why families choose us. So you're helping the rest of your staff and faculty understand this is the messaging we're going out to the market with. It's important that we're all kind of on the same page with this as well. I've seen schools that are on both sides that they're very disjointed. You know, a teacher saying something completely different than what the admissions director is saying. Then I've seen it where everybody's really cohesive and working together. So I think we talk a lot about marketing and messaging. I think it goes into make sure also the entire school is on the same page and there's a really great culture there. But then if you think about social media, how would I use this? I would just make sure that I'm creating content that satisfies those core avatars, right? We don't have to try to put all of it into one, but if there's something related around, okay, the gifted student, you can highlight something in the classroom around that, or maybe how they're excelling, or um, the grades that they're achieving, and or maybe it's college prep, whatever it might be. Um, if it's the small class sizes, highlight, here's what we can do in our classrooms, or highlight even faculty, or sorry, like alumni and students talking about the relationships that they have with the faculty, about how close that they were able to develop a relationship with them. Because one of the things that we know, excuse me, um, this is from my work, prior to building Ames, was that looking at survey data, I think it was two of the top three reasons why families choose a school and stay at a school have to do with faculty. So if you can highlight the faculty in a way and tie it into these avatars, that is impactful. And then you just want to make sure your website, all throughout your website, you have this messaging, right? From your homepage to your academic pages, everything needs to have this core messaging throughout so that it's cohesive and that there is just no question about who you are and who you're for and who you're not for as well. I think that can be just as important. And then
Well,
lastly, with advertising, as I mentioned, when I work with schools, I need some water somewhere that's not next to me. When I work with schools on building ad campaigns, we start with the messaging, right? And when you start with the messaging, I would build out messaging for all these different avatars and then run it and see how it performs.
and I was going to ask you, building messaging. I mean, in the advertising agency business, you go through this kind of exercise with focus groups and surveys and things like that, and you try, you can imagine ad execs sitting around the room brainstorming campaign images, slogans, and so forth. Using using artificial intelligence, for example, how would somebody perhaps, if they've gone through the exercise you've just shown, which is to, they come up with 3 or 4 different avatars. You've asked them questions like, what's motivating these people? Then you're now trying to come up with messaging. Could you actually come up with a prompt that would cause an artificial intelligence like ChatGPT to come up with maybe a make-believe story
Yeah,
or a testimonial or something like that?
100%. So I think there's two ways to prompt ChatGPT with the messaging that you're looking for. One is you can come up with a really great prompt, and we'll talk about some different prompts. The other one is if you have a framework already that you really like, say, hey, I want to write an ad based upon this framework. That if you give it examples, I think any AI platform does a really great job of taking the example and fitting it into your messaging. Um, Now, I don't have that in front of me right now, but we can start building some prompts. So here's what I would do to build, let's say, an advertisement based upon these personas. So let's just take the first one to start, the gifted achiever. So I would say, I want to create a Facebook ad targeting the gifted achiever avatar. Okay. Now we have to say, how do we want the messaging? Do we want it friendly? Do we want it casual? Do we want it more visceral? Do we want storytelling? Do we want bold, simple language? Do we want to be really bold and really unique and differentiate? Right. So when I would do this with schools, I would actually come up with 6 different ads. The first 3 would usually be like just good, solid written ads, and then the other last 3 would be just really, really bold. And it's really interesting. Sometimes schools like that and sometimes they really hate it, but it's good to get a sense of what do you like and what don't you like. So we could say, I want to create a Facebook ad targeting the gifted achiever avatar. One thing I usually like to say to ChatGPT is use the problem, agitate, solve, or solution copywriting framework. Has anybody ever heard of that? The problem agitate solution. So it's a copywriting framework saying, you highlight a problem, you agitate the problem, and then you develop the solution. So you'll see here as an example, use problem agitate solution copywriting framework. Um, short, powerful sentences, make it visceral, use storytelling. Um, what I usually start with actually is I want you to act like a copywriting expert with 20 years of experience working with schools. I want to create a Facebook ad targeting gifted achiever avatar. Use a prominent use short, powerful sentences, make it visible. Use storytelling. Here's a neat little trick. You may have heard me say this before, and some other ones where I did ChatGPT. It's you will get a $10,000 bonus for creating the ads that generate the most campus tours. Right.
Uh, After the word bonus, make or for. Yep.
Thank you. Let's see how this does. So we could
That's
probably keep
great.
going with it, but
Brilliant.
let's see how this does. Is your gifted child feeling stuck? Your child is brilliant, but brilliance without challenge fades. They finish their work before others even begin. They ask what. So we're really calling out those families and agitating the problem. In a traditional classroom, they're waiting for something more. That waiting costs them confidence, it drains their passion. At our school, we refuse to let gifted kids slip through the cracks. We see their spark and fan it to the flame. So this would be, I probably put in the category a little bit more bold. What do we think about this? Who likes this? Who doesn't like it?
I do.
I figured you would, Tim. Um, so you could say, you know what, I really like that. Um, and then, but you can also say, you know what, provide more detail about exactly how our curriculum is designed for gifted students. Now, you would need some background to give them. So you would say, look, we have uh, programmatic feature X, Y, and Z. Make sure you include those in your ad. So then, what you could do is let's say you really like that. Just say, what did it say here? Let's win that $10,000. Um, Say that's great. Can you come up with 3 more variations, each with a different hook that maximizes engagement? Um, I want a variation of long form and short form copy. So, and then here's how it comes up with different variations. And you can see this one's really short, right? Um, that's an interesting one. So these are some pretty um, unique messaging frameworks, but it was all built upon the foundation of what we did earlier, which is, excuse me, I'm really sorry, which is here are the families that are looking at our school. We took the survey data. We had ChatGPT analyze it. What are these families looking for? What is the messaging framework that's attractive to them? And then, um, okay, how do we start building marketing messaging around that? And then what you could do is, okay, great. Now give me a 30-day social media calendar that focuses on um, messaging to these 3 avatars. Um, Give me ideas, sample copy. Let's see what it does. So then this is how you could then transform it to social media. Now take these avatars and how can you, yeah. So what are some ideas that we can do to build some social media campaigns? So this one is interview a teacher, 5 signs your gifted child needs more from their school. And so this is one of the things so yes, ChatGPT can give us some ideas, and I think that's great. I love ideation. One of the things I like that it's doing here that I think sometimes gets lost, and I've looked at enough social media accounts where I see this as a common concern or issue, if you will, which is when let's say you have a photo of students engaged in a science experiment. Many times what I see is that the caption is just, hey, look what our 7th graders are doing in science class. They're building a volcano, right? They're having a lot of fun. And it's just kind of a statement of what they're doing. I like to state what they're doing and then tie that back into your why. So just like here, you can, it doesn't have to be like this. You could say, hey, look at the 7th graders. They're building a volcano in science class with state the teacher's name. And that's exactly what we do here. We challenge gifted students to dream bigger and explore even bigger. So you're always tying it back to your why. Um, let's see if we have some other examples. Call to action to book a tour. See if we have some others. Photos of students collaborating in the classroom, communities at the heart. So then you can talk about community. Does that make sense? I think yeah, when you're doing social, if you don't have to do every single post, but if you could tie in your post um to your why, to your portrait of a graduate, it just makes it that more powerful. And as a last note, and then I'll stop talking here. Um, if you recall from have been talking about how the social media algorithms are changing, or they have changed, where it's no longer just your existing families that are seeing your content, people in your community that aren't followers of you that might be looking for a school, you can show up in their feed. This is why this messaging becomes even more important now, because it could catch the attention of somebody who's looking for a school and then they're not following you, but you show up in their Instagram feed as a suggested post.
So let's talk for a minute about social media feeds, because some of us really understand that, and some of us are scratching our heads and saying, what? So how is this post being done? Are we putting it into the blog on our website? Are we creating a post on Facebook? Are we transferring it from Facebook to Instagram? In other words, what specifically are we doing?
So I mean, the answer to that is yes, right? So you want to do all of that. If I could wave the magic wand, I typically always like to start with, at least on social media content, an Instagram reel. It gets you the most reach, the most bang for your, I'll say your buck, but really the most bang for the effort. So if you could start with a reel, that's great, and then you write your messaging with that. Um,
Well, wait, let's stop, because not everyone knows what an Instagram reel is. And I know that you did. There's one of our weeks where you actually led people through the creation of reels. And I
yeah,
expect we need to do that again and again and again. And I bet you could have your camera be your phone, right? You literally show people what you're doing.
you're saying have your have your phone be your camera at the school, or are you saying show my phone
Yeah.
now?
Well, I think that people don't necessarily know how to create an Instagram reel. For example, let's say you've got a message here. Somebody's written you a script. How
Yeah,
do you turn that into Instagram? Because Instagram is visual.
yeah. The recommendation. So as everybody probably knows, does anybody here who here manages their social media account? Who's doing their social media? So Kitty, you're doing social media. Are you doing a lot of, just out of curiosity, are you doing a lot of reels? Yeah. Oh, there's chat.
Okay.
More now than ever. Cool. Cool. Um, yeah, so and as you know, right, you can do three types of posts, right? You've got a reel, you've got a photo post, which or just an image post, which is one image, and then you've got a carousel post. In order of effectiveness, it goes reel, carousel, image. So, not that you don't want to post single images. I would say though, if you're going to post just an image for a day, try to combine it into a carousel. You probably will get more reach out of it. Two, you can turn an image post into a reel just using the reel templates that they have. Kitty, just out of curiosity, do you use the reel templates that they have? Okay. So if anybody wants to follow along, I don't know if anybody can
Why don't you
see.
stop sharing for a minute
Yeah.
so that they see just you and your
Oh, okay. That makes, yeah, it looks big on my screen, but obviously probably small to everybody else. So it's always an adventure when we open up Instagram, what's going to pop up. Apparently, Billy Ray Cyrus had a terrible disaster on stage during the. I didn't know that. That's what.
oh, there you
Uh,
go.
there we go. Bad. It was at
I,
the
by the way, for
inauguration.
those of you who don't know about Zoom, if you go to your upper right, you go to view, you can change it so that the only thing on your screen is the speaker. So if you did that, when Clint is talking, he'll be the only one. Instead of it looking like a series of little people on the screen, you'll just see Clint.
Oh, hey, look at this! I just got this notification. create longer reels. Now reels up to 3 minutes long can reach non-followers. So again, that's the big thing to keep in the back of our mind, that we're creating this messaging. We can reach non-followers. So let's see what we got here. So what you can do is, so hit the plus button at the bottom.
The plus is to start a new
Yeah,
something, reel
we're going to
or.
start, yeah, new
Right.
post, and then scroll down at the bottom. You're going to see create a reel. So then you can see a lot of pictures in there, right? We're not going to use any of those. We're going to scroll up to the at the top, to this top bar, and you're going to choose templates. Okay. Now,
Okay.
the reason we choose templates, oh, it's playing music. The reason we choose templates is because Instagram is literally telling you this is what's trending, this is what's working right now, and they will reward you for those posts in the form of reaching more people. So what you could do is you just open it up and just start scrolling through the templates. Some make sense, some won't for what you have. But some of the templates are just a bunch of images that are just flashing and going from one image to the next, some faster, some slower. So let's use the science experiment classroom. Let's say you have 4 or 5 pictures from science class about an experiment. Well, you can now turn those individual images into a reel. Go in, find a template that makes sense, upload those 4 or 5 images. You can either use the music that they have there, so you can find some trending music that makes sense, or use just the audio from the class, and then put text over top of it. And the text can be seventh grade. I don't know. I keep saying seventh graders and volcanoes. I think I just watched a volcano movie, so that's why it's in my head. It's like seventh graders um, building a volcano, and then use the caption to tell the rest of the story. So this is the other thing I want to talk about with messaging, with social media specifically. Please don't feel like you have to create short captions. There is this sense that your captions have to be short, and that is not true. I've done a lot of audits on social media accounts, and part of the audit software that we use, it analyzes the length of your captions: short, medium, long. Long being over 1,000 characters. So I think it's like a couple paragraphs. Without fail, every single school I've done this for, the long captions get the most engagement and will reach the most people. So do not feel like you have to just create a 2 sentence caption and you're trying to get all of your messaging in there. It's okay to say, here's what they're doing, and then here's what we're doing at our school, and here's why this is important. And then next thing you know, it's like, wow, I wrote a 2 paragraph long caption. That's
Well,
okay. You may
wait,
not
wait,
want to do that every time, but go ahead,
wait.
Tim.
Help me understand what's happening here. So the templates often have a very short duration time. And if you put in a video, it might be a video that's only 5 seconds, 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So if you've got a paragraph or two, one, it's not going to fit on the screen at one time. So what's going to happen? Are you putting in as much as fits on the screen and then moving to another screen? How do you get this longer content, written content, captions to appear, or is it scrolling? What's happening?
Well, the captions are going to be just in the text of the post, right? So it's not going to be in the reel itself. But Kitty, it's a great question. Text on the reel, it's been pretty much proven at this point that if you include text in your reel itself, just like a 1 or 2 liner, that also performs the best. And also, what you'll notice is those templates, they all have some sort of video or images plus the text on top. So yeah, typically you want your text to capture attention and to get them to read the caption. That's the real secret.
The caption is appearing underneath the video.
Yeah, yeah.
So what we're hoping is that when someone sees this thing, they're going to take the time to notice that there is text and they'll read it.
Yeah, I mean, your text many times on the video itself could just be read the caption, right? And that is usually enough to get people to stop and read, because why would you tell them to read the caption if there wasn't going to be some good stuff there? So you've got these moving images of the seventh graders in science class that looks really cool. Maybe you have some text over top that just says seventh grade class with Mrs. Smith never fails to disappoint, something like that, right? And
Okay.
then it's like read the caption, and then your caption explains everything that's going on, right? So that's kind of a good framework to use for your reels. And what you'll notice is that if you go into your analytics for your reels, it will tell you how many followers and how many non-followers you reached. And usually when you do a reel like that, you can reach up to 90% non-followers, which is great. So that means you could reach thousands of people that aren't following you, but it's going to show up in their feed because they're showing behaviors of looking at other schools. They're searching for schools, right? And we all know that, right? You're, 1 minute I'm looking up, information about the Eagles game, and now I've got all these different football posts on my feed that I'm not even following. So
Clint, in the text, the captions underneath, can you put a live hyperlink to take them to a specific web page?
not in Instagram. In
Okay.
Facebook, yes. Instagram, typically, what you're going to do is one of two things. Um, it's going to be, check the link in bio if you want to, if you want to schedule a tour, check the link in bio for upcoming dates. Um, what's really popular right now, I don't see any schools doing this. I wouldn't be opposed to trying this if nobody's doing it. But the real trick, I don't know if anybody's seen this, where it's like comment school and we'll send you a link to book a tour, right? Imagine something said like that, where it's comment, you say comment this and we'll give you something. That's automation. Actually, that's something our software can do, where if you write a comment that you're being told to write, you can have an automated response that says, oh, thanks so much, here's a link for whatever. um,
So
that's not that common. I don't.
you're saying your software AIMS, which is your private school version of HubSpot, can
Mhm.
do this for a school.
Yeah, yeah, and there's actually some specific software platforms out there that actually were built on this, and then we kind of took that and said, well, let's use this, because it's a really great way to, essentially what you're doing is you're getting a lot of comments. So if somebody wants the information that you are providing, or saying, hey, if you want this, comment below with whatever. So if we're talking about schools, comment below with school, and we'll send you our guide. We'll send you a link to our upcoming events. We'll send you something. So
Can
what
you
most
can you
schools do, what most people do, is say, go to my link in bio. But this is kind of a pretty cool way to
wait,
manufacture
wait,
engagement.
wait, slow down, slow down. Go to my link in bio. So when you set up your Instagram account, it always starts with somebody's personal Instagram account, right?
It does that with Facebook. You can set up kind of with Instagram, but I mean, you're setting up. You can set up a professional Instagram account.
And so in the bio for that account, you're putting a link that goes presumably to the web page you would want people to go to.
Yeah, so you have link in bio, right? And they could have multiple links. Check out our upcoming events, check
Mhm.
out, go to our website, check out our upcoming sports calendar, whatever it might be. So yeah.
Okay, but at the bottom of the caption, see, again, for those of us who don't do a lot of this stuff like Kitty is doing, where she's doing a lot of Instagram, for those of us that are newbies, do we need to put in hashtags?
They're not as important as they used to be.
So
Five,
should we
10, that's
put them?
okay. It used to be put 30 in there, and
Mhm.
that was the way to get found. So that was the thing. Like at one point, you wanted to get found. In order to get found, you wanted to be in a hashtag where somebody was following. So they're following the hashtag, but they're not following you. That's not that big of a deal anymore, because now you can get found just by showing up in somebody's suggested feed based upon your content. So it's good to put some hashtags, just more about brandable hashtags, your school, maybe like local hashtags that are like common local. I don't want to say slang, but like I lived in Delaware County, right? I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Philadelphia area, but like Delco is like a term that everybody uses. So if you're like a local business or a school, it's like Delco schools support Delco. Like I would put that in hashtags so that if somebody else is following Delco, I'm going to show up in that feed, right? Like so support local, support Delco. Um, so I would actually look at what other local businesses are putting in their hashtag, or local realtors, things like that, and use some similar ones.
Now, many of us have issues with worry about privacy of kids. So we all have the issue of what is our social media policy, what our teachers are allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do. Presumably, all of us who are listening to this or watching this video, we're people who are doing this for our school. We're getting paid to do this in one way or another. How do we deal with privacy and concern that someone will see a picture of a kid and they'll want to know who the kid is and the parent will get upset? How do we do this?
And that's typically part of applications and things like that, right? Where it's, it's a social media policy that as long as you don't say no, you can be on there, and then they'll say, "Hey, I don't want to see my kid." And, then yeah, you gotta double check. I've been in those situations from the marketing side where it's like we're running ads, and they would like, "Hey, I really like this image. Use this, but try to cut this one kid out so that they're not in there." So that those are just those things you got to work around.
What about AI coming up with videos? In other words, or still pictures? I mean, obviously at this point, when you go to ChatGPT, if you're a Montessori school and you say, "Give me a picture of a 3-year-old boy of Asian descent building the Pink Tower," gosh only knows what the Montessori environment and the Pink Tower looks like. Probably nothing like Montessori. But if we did say, "Show me a 3-year-old boy." Um, Cutting up a loaf of bread or cutting an apple, you'd
Yeah.
probably get something and it would not be a real child and it would look photorealistic.
Yeah, I would probably there's something inside ChatGPT, like a custom GPT that works. I would use Mid. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Mid Journey. Have you heard of Mid Journey?
No,
Mid Journey is really amazing things you can do with AI images and video. And there's some AI video tools out there where if you give it a prompt, it looks incredible. Now, if we say, I don't know, can you create AI videos? I don't know if ChatGPT can. I know it can do
I don't think
images.
so.
What's going on? Um, can you create AI videos? Yeah, I didn't. I was almost positive that. Synthesia, I'm familiar with.
How do you spell it?
Um, Synthesia. These do a pretty good job actually building avatars. Can you create an image of a boy in a Montessori classroom playing with a Montessori toy? Who knows how good this is going to be? This is not a very good prompt for this, but I'm curious. Um, these typically look like AI created images. There you go.
For the
These typically
purpose of,
look.
you
What's
say
that?
they look phony, I assume. No, someone could tell it.
Oh, geez, you're not seeing sharing. I'm not sharing my screen, am I?
Yeah. So share
Oh,
is
I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me share
okay.
my screen again.
Yeah, let's see what we're seeing. Clearly not in a Montessori classroom, but okay.
Yeah, so
That's an image.
I haven't seen many schools do it. I haven't recommended using AI images or videos. There are tools out there where you could probably do a really good job. I haven't taken a deep dive into it. If you're going to, I would really look into Midjourney. I've seen videos and images created there, and it is incredible. You can be really to the point where you can't like you can tell that this is AI. You are not even able to tell that it's AI. So if you wanted something very specific in an image, or maybe it's just like background video, um, the tools are out there. But I'll be honest with you. I think as a school, many of us probably have so many images and videos laying around in our folders that you could probably find anything you want to find. Um, and I wouldn't overthink it too much, right? Show the classroom. It's really what matters is going to be the caption.
Sure. Now, one other thing, with, I lost my, should we be looking at what other schools are doing to see if there's great examples to inspire us?
I love doing that, right? I love looking at, hey, if we know a school's doing an amazing job with their social media, with their advertising, you know it's getting results. Why not? I love, I don't know, ethically stealing ideas from others. Um, so I'm a big fan of doing that.
Okay. So one other question is Instagram a platform that those of us that are paying for social media advertising, is that a place where we would want to advertise? Are people using Instagram to advertise products?
Instagram and Facebook, number one places. Well, Instagram, Facebook, and Google are really the most popular places on social media. Instagram and Facebook for sure. I just got off a call with a school that was going heavy into TikTok advertising. I'm very interested to see how that. Now this was before the ban, even though it's not banned anymore. Who knows what's going to happen? Probably not going to be banned, but nonetheless, uh, depending upon what your school's policies are on TikTok, I think policies used to be a bigger deal maybe a couple of years ago. But TikTok is an amazing platform. The engagement levels are 3 to 4 times higher there than they are on Instagram. So if TikTok is one of those places, if you're looking for doing more or even just repurposing what you're already doing on Instagram, I would look at TikTok.
Well, I must say, Clint, that this has been a very, very interesting and practical session. We've hopefully talked about some very specific issues that I'm hoping have been helpful to those of you who are listening. Um, I imagine if you're like me, you still have more questions than answers, because unless you've got a really great 16 to 20-year-old who's using Instagram more than they should and knows all about it, or you're a professional, this is probably something you're just coming up a learning curve on. Clint, the only other thing I would say to you as someone who does this for a living is it seems to me that there is an opportunity here for you to keep building your business, to take people and do this for them or guide them through the process of learning how to do it, because I think there's so many people who don't know how and don't even know it exists that they can do this. And everything you've done today could, in theory, you just gave away knowledge, but I'm not sure that knowledge for a lot of us is enough. It may be that what you need to do is offer to do it for people for an affordable price, if that can be done, or formally train them to the point where they really remember and understand how to do this. They probably need coaching and guidance and multiple sessions, and homework to learn how to do this for their school.
Yeah.
The
No,
bottom
I
line,
mean, in short, yeah, a lot of schools ask us, can you help us build an ad campaign? Can you help us build our messaging? Can you do an audit? Can you either do it for us or work with us to do it? So it's a very common request, and we do that. So always happy to sit down and help whatever it is. Is it build messaging? Is it build messaging plus and then put it into an ad campaign? Is it build messaging and then use it throughout our website? So depending upon whatever the needs are, we can build a program around that, whether it's done for you or done with you.
I love it. So the bottom line is, one of the reasons I really appreciate you is knowing you're in the early days of your business and you are still a very small shop. You're not sitting on in Chicago or San Francisco or in Manhattan as a big ad agency doing this for schools. This is the time to work with someone like Clint if your school is trying to improve your marketing. And by the way, I am not paid by Clint to do this. I'm
Checks in the mail.
I'm a friend of Clint's, and like you, I'm learning, and I've done this for a long time. There aren't too many times where I go to a conference or pick up a book or meet someone where I feel like I'm learning something I may not have known before. There are lots of things that I see where I think that there are people, maybe like you folks out in the audience, who are beginning your journey and are anxious to learn whatever you can. What I appreciate, Clint, is your willingness to give up your time, your willingness to share your experience and knowledge. I know where you come from. I know how sophisticated your former employers, independent school management, are, and that you chose to go out and fill a niche in the industry that is different from what they do, at an affordable price. I'm just glad you're out there.
Well, hey, I appreciate the kind words. I really do, and I love doing these webcasts, and I thank everybody for joining us and keep sticking with us each week.
Well, I will see you next week. What's our topic next week, Clint?
Wait for it. We've got spotlight on teachers and staff, showcasing your faculty to build trust and rapport.
There we go. We're going to have the
There we
janitor.
go.
We're going to spotlight the janitor or the bus driver or the
That's right.
nurse. Anyway, we will see you all next week, same time, same place. And remember, the recordings of Find the Perfect Match are at the Montessori Foundation's YouTube video channel. You should be able to find that very easily. It's the Montessori Foundation. Montessori.org is the website. The channel, though, is just YouTube, and put in Montessori Foundation or Find the Perfect Match, private school marketing, and you should be able to find it there. So we'll see you all next week. Thanks for coming, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.